You can know when to hit record because you just hear your thump of the mouse.
On that note, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Keepin It Reel. I do like 2 intros. Like, I do an intro, then our audio, and then I do another intro. So I'm trying to get rid of that second intro, but whatever.
No, let's just keep introing all the way through.
Just intro everything?
Yeah, fuck
What's
it.
up? It's me and Jake. Say hi, Jake.
What up?
And then Tyler, you're back. Welcome
Yeah.
back.
Hey, everybody. Back from the dead.
You know,
Back
you
from
and
the
Jordan
dead. Woo.
Keep having like work stuff, which is kind of bullshit. Like, who actually has to work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me and Jake just have time to watch movies all the time.
Mason and I
You guys
never
need
work.
to-
We just sit around and talk about movies.
No, back from the dead from the Amazing Amy. We hung out for a few days and miraculously got away.
That's dope. Where'd you guys go?
Lake House. It was a hell of a
Oh,
time.
nice. That sounds.
That lake house is dope as
sounds
fuck. And if you're wondering what
terrifying
movie
as
we're
shit.
If you're wondering what movie we're talking about, we watched Gone Girl. We went from the high of Crazy Stupid Love last week, of what love should be, to the horrible, horrible low of what everyone doesn't want love to be in Gone Girl. So, Tyler, me and you saw this in theaters. What did you think about it rewatching it?
Yeah. So Gone Girl is one of those movies that first saw it in the theater. Now, I think it's also worth calling out, full disclosure, I haven't read the book. I'm not sure any of us have read the book.
I have no.
I'm
So-
not reading the book. No,
Yeah,
it's a movie.
look,
I'm not reading the book.
We got time for a 2.5 hour movie, if that. Don't have time to read a whole damn book. So it's worth to just call that out because I've heard that the book is pretty damn phenomenal, especially when that's where you're starting. But anyway, came out of the movie theater watching this for the first time a few years ago and absolutely mind blown. I mean, the twists, the turns, it just had me on the edge of my seat from start to finish. Now, I say that to get to the point that this doesn't carry as much rewatch value, in my opinion. And is it still good? Does it still take you for a ride? Yes, but it really, like, I don't know, it loses steam the more you watch it, in my opinion.
I think the first time watching it, I remember the first half of the movie, I'm just like, Ben Affleck fucking did it. And like, that's the whole thing, remembering it. And Fincher does a great job of playing on like, this is what the media does to everyone. And I remember it was a pretty packed auditorium when we went and saw it. And the moment when we learned that she's alive and she staged it, I'm pretty sure me and you audibly went, what the fuck?
I had the exact same reaction. I literally was sitting there like, hands over my mouth, like, what?
So, like, the twist isn't the same. And, like, that definitely loses some of its mustard. That being said, the second half of this movie, of watching her, like, try to outsmart everyone, and then she really doesn't outsmart anyone besides everyone that already made her the victim. Anyone that doesn't see her as a victim, she doesn't outsmart.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, it's really weird to see that play again. You get to like, I like start seeing the seeds of like how she planned it, and like they show him outside and then they show him leaving, and then I liked knowing what was going to happen and picking the parts of like, I'm going to try to see when she set this up of why we were hiding, noticing how many times Andy rings his phone. Every time his phone's ringing, is Andy trying to get a hold of him. I was like, they're laying little clues, and then like the second time watching it through, I like to go back and piece all those together. It's just fun to go through.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those movies, and I mean, don't get me wrong, these are the movies that I like the most, but it's one of those movies where as you start to pick up the details and like the small little things that the breadcrumbs almost along the way, as you start to pick those up, the payoff is pretty significant. You're like, oh, look at what's happening there. Look at what's happening there. So I sit here and I say it lost a little bit of its, oomph on the rewatch, or on the few rewatches I've done now. But I don't know. Those are those are the small things that sort of are the golden ticket moments throughout the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, this was my first viewing of this one. And so, yeah, that like obviously big reveal that she's still alive is a lot. It's obviously the whole like awe thing of the movie that you watch it for. But I would imagine that you're right, as you kind of go back already knowing the twist at the end, or kind of in the late middle, I guess.
No, it's right in the middle. It's directly in the middle.
They like cut up the acts pretty well through this movie.
Wow, I didn't realize that was right in the middle. I didn't realize how much movie was after that. But yeah, I'd imagine those kind of because, obviously once you see that, you start thinking back to thinking for holes or like that kind of thing. You notice the kind of hints throughout that. I'd imagine those are a lot more satisfying, knowing where the twist is going to be.
Jake.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Sorry, really fast. I'm curious, Jake. I didn't realize that this was your first time watching this. Was the ending slow to you after she came back home to Ben Affleck? Was the last 20 minutes slow, or were you still pretty hooked?
No.
This is a long movie.
It is a long movie. I didn't think it was slow because I was still very interested in how he was going to react to all of it.
Fair.
And just kind of seeing his thought process and obviously, it still seemed like he kind of fed into it almost, even after knowing all this stuff, that he was like, not necessarily okay with it, but like he was still along for the ride kind of thing. Was kind of interesting to see that play out. So
yeah, I've watched this 3 or 4 times now, and I'll say like this view, I think at least 4 times. This viewing, I felt the end the most. I'll just say that.
So I watched this about 2 weeks ago. It popped up on Hulu, and I was just one Saturday night. I had like nothing else to do, and I was like, I'm watching it. Like I haven't seen this movie in forever. I don't think I've seen it since it came out, and so I rewatched it. And we watched Mank. We talked about how much we liked Mank, and then I was like, I watched Social Network a couple months ago, and I was like, I like Fincher. Let's just go watch another one. And I forgot how into it I was. Knowing what was happening, I was still into it. But, like, it's been so long, I was like, oh, my God. Like, this is just, it's a great acted, it's fucked up in, like, really good ways, which is really weird to say. And then her diary note entries, and then, like, her, like, reacting, like, acting them out as she's hiding to write the diary. But they're, like, showing them as her scared. And then showing Ben Affleck actually in her position at the end of the movie, where you said you didn't like it, Tyler. He's literally doing everything that she wrote down in the book. He is now feeling those same feelings that she fake wrote. So she's sleeping in a room because he's scared. Like, he's terrified of this girl. And I thought that was a super cool, like,
Parallel
play.
Kinda,
yeah, I never.
And so those are the small things that I missed, and I think that'll make it more enjoyable. Which is why it's kind of this like give and take in terms of rewatch value on this movie. I mean, there's small things you pick up that you're like, oh yeah, that is kind of cool.
Yeah, but like, it's just there's so many things that Fincher does, and then he had Ben Affleck, and apparently they really bounced a lot of ideas off each other because this is right after he won Best Picture for Argo, and he did The Town
as a producer. I guess he was the lead too, but
and he directed Argo.
Oh, he directed it.
He directed Argo and The Town, and so Fincher was coming to him of how would he shoot this, and they were bouncing ideas off of each other. And you can actually, I feel like that's part of the reason is like if Ben Affleck wasn't good in this movie falls apart. As great as Rosamund Pike is, and she steals the show. That's Amy, Jake. She's just like she's crazy, but without Ben Affleck's doofus kind of Midwestern feel that he's supposed to give off, and like if he doesn't do that well, and if he's not invested, this movie's done.
Yeah, and on that note, Alyssa turned to me at the start of the movie, and she was like, "I feel like Casey Affleck would be better in this movie." At the start of the movie. Keep in mind, we've both seen it already a few times. And we just watched Manchester by the Sea recently, so Casey Affleck's kind of top of mind. And great fucking movie.
It's a great movie.
You need a new movie. You need a movie for next week. There you go.
I've talked about how that movie just made me want to cut myself several times after watching it, but like
I audibly cried on the last.
Oh,
but anyway,
it made me want to start my day over again. I just want to go back to bed.
that movie punches you in the face. That's the best way to describe it.
This is totally off topic. My dad texted me. He's like, "Have you watched this?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "This movie made me cry." I have seen my dad cry one time, and that was we were watching home videos of us being me and Lauren like after birth, and he was just being a dad and got teary-eyed from that.
No, wait
And
till
that's
the
the-
wedding.
That was the only time I've ever seen him like get choked up. And like he told me he like shed a tear for this movie, and I was like, how can you shed a tear for a movie? Like I was like, what is this movie? And I watched it, and I am very sensitive. Like I cry at movies all the time, and that movie just destroyed me.
The movie will absolutely rock you. But
I still haven't seen it.
We might have to do it.
Gotta watch it.
I'm scared to. I still don't know what happens in it, but I've
Good.
literally
No,
not talked to a single person who said they did not cry from watching it. So
Yeah,
It's like Schindler's List. It's a great movie, but
except
like,
better. Ooh, did I just go there?
Ooh,
Did I just go
yeah,
there?
that's debatable. It just it hits you in all the horrible, I'm so sad feelings in your body that you didn't know you had, and it hits all of them at once, and then you're just like, what do I do? So I had to watch it in the middle of the day. I needed the rest of my day to like cheer me up, because if I watched it going to bed, I'd just be depressed and cry myself to sleep.
That's very fair. No, but anyway, she turns to me and says, Casey Affleck maybe would be better in this movie. Couldn't disagree more, because Ben is the right actor for someone that can pull off like, hey, I'm a cocky douchebag, where you're like sitting there thinking, wow, this guy did maybe fucking do this. Like this guy actually, he seems like kind of a douche at times, and his temper flares, and I don't know. He did a good job.
He's getting jacked for Batman. It's right before he got cast as Batman, and it's right before Batman vs. Superman. So he's massive. And like you have to have that intimidation factor, like, oh, if he actually like in the diary, like you have to believe that he would beat the crap out of her. And I don't believe little Casey Affleck, no offense to Casey Affleck, but he doesn't have that I'm going to beat the crap out of someone mentality, where
He's a stoic drama character.
I believe Ben could beat the shit out of someone.
Yeah.
Just in 2 seconds, no questions asked.
Good point. Violence is at the middle of this.
And he's massive. He's like 6'3". He's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And 6'3" and like 225, 230 in this movie. Like there's no way someone's not terrified of him.
Yep. You're right.
But yeah, Jake, watching it, you said before we got on you didn't think Ben Affleck did it right away. What made you not think he did it right away?
I don't really know. Maybe it was just like overthinking it. Like, I mean, clearly it seemed like they wanted you to think that he did it. And maybe it was just looking too much into like how he was reacting. It really did seem like he was surprised by her going missing, and you know, I think what I was thinking was he seems like a non-attentive, maybe a bad husband who's not really paying any attention to his wife ever, and she's gone missing. Who knows why? Maybe she was into something. Maybe it was just a freak thing that happened to her. But he didn't really seem like he was like hateful toward her, or like, you know, wanted her gone or anything like that. Yeah, it just seemed like he was maybe not the best husband who didn't pay enough attention to her. And so when she went missing for some other reason, he just did not know anything about what she's been up to or what could have caused her to go missing or anything like that. So I thought it was just like ignorance rather than, you know, him being a murderer.
So you saw right through it.
Kind of. I mean, not to the extent of what the twist ended up being, but
Sure.
You know, I didn't think that he did it, but I was not even close to what actually ended up happening.
We had Casey Anthony like 3 years before this movie came out. So that whole trial and everything that was going on was still very fresh in a lot of people's mind during it. And she kind of just played dumb of how her kids went missing, and they were all murdered with, I think, the husband too. But
Hey,
that was...
First of all, kudos to you if you were aware of this Casey Anthony type stuff. I was 15 at the time this movie came out. No chance I was paying attention to...
No, Casey Anthony, we were in high school, and then this came out when we were in college.
Oh, yeah.
So this
yeah.
was just after. And
Yeah,
I don't know if
15
they
was
wrote
high
this.
I had no global view of anything. when
I
Casey
just
Anthony-
remember we were in Tahoe as like a family trip, and her trial was going on, and she got the not guilty verdict. And I remember everyone in the house was just like, "Oh my god, how'd they get not guilty?" And it's just kind of like the OJ thing, where like they didn't have enough evidence, so they gave not guilty, and then like you go back at it, and he's like, "Yeah, she probably did it." It's kind of one of those situations. So the media just portrayed her as, "Oh, she definitely did it." So watching this movie, they just kept doing that to Ben Affleck. So the first time watching it, I was like, "Oh, he definitely did it." There was just too many things that he was doing. I was just like, "This is just weird." And then rewatching it this time, knowing that that he didn't do it, I also just feel like these are very common things. Like he's just out of it.
Yeah.
The whole since the moment she's missing, he's just gone. Like he's nowhere to be found emotionally. Like
Yeah.
and like the moment he's back emotionally, and you actually see like what she wrote about and like all the great happy thing, is the moment she finds out she's trying to frame him, and then that's where like, oh, okay, he's back in it. He knows that she's alive, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, that makes more sense of why he was such aloof the whole time.
They did a really good job of him not really being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Like taking the selfie with the girl in the hallway.
Right.
Smiles. And then
as soon as he does it, he's like,
and
"Oh,
then
shit."
like he's like sitting in front of the missing poster, and he's like, "You are not smiling, sitting next to the missing poster of your wife."
Why are you taking a picture next to the missing poster of your wife? Have them get a candid shot of you. Like those are just things where like I have seen.
You say
people
no
just
to that.
go-
You just say no
Yeah,
to that.
I've seen people in shock and they just do things, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense of why you're doing it. And this is kind of that moment where like he's just in shock, and I think Tyler
is he?
Perry's
Or is he like, "Wow, I'm relieved"?
I think it's like he's so distraught that he feels relieved that she's missing, that he's just out of it. He's just gone.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit of both. I mean, obviously he wanted to get away from her anyway, but
She was a burden on him.
right. But I think regardless, that's a shocking situation to be in. Regardless of that, I mean, that's crazy stuff. That does not happen to a lot of people. And I think the lawyer that ended up defending him, what was his name? Tanner Bolt.
Tanner Bolt.
Even said in one of the interviews that he showed up on one of the like news channels or TV shows or whatever. He said like, this is not a normal situation that people find themselves in. So regardless of how they react or how they act in this situation, it's not going to make sense, because nothing that any 99.999% of people have ever been through makes this kind of a situation make sense.
And if he acted normal, that would be more weird.
Right. That's what he said in there. That I think that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring that up too, and that's just a great point. Is because like, even if he hated her, which he definitely does, you don't wish anyone to die,
Right.
and I just feel like he's a decent person. He just sucks. Like I
Right.
don't feel like he means any harm to anyone. He's not
necessarily a good dude, but he's not going to go, murder somebody.
yeah, like he just fucks up a lot, and there you can do that, but that doesn't mean you're a horrible person.
Yeah. Well, I hesitate because it's like the guy just should have fucking cut it like years ago, right? Like
Oh no! The moment
he-
you start
he-
cheating on someone,
he-
you should just cut it.
Yeah,
you
he,
just
he fucks up.
Yeah, I
on
mean,
his
that's obviously
own, like
awful.
yeah.
Yeah, but something that you just said too, Mason, about or sorry, I think it was you, Jake, about the media. I don't think it's necessarily ahead of its time, but again, going back to the fact that we weren't really paying attention to larger global happenings, and
Right.
all that plugged into news.
Because I think that like Mason said, OJ also. I mean, I think that was the same kind of thing. We were just
look
not around.
at the news organization, and specifically, God, what was the
blonde hair
lady's
lady?
name? Yeah, I mean, I don't care what side you're on, left or right. Like, each has its programs that are now I sound like the Geico commercial or whatever it is, saying that using the word programs instead of TV shows. But they like each side has its segments that like has just blowing shit out of the water, right? Whether it's Hannity or Cuomo or I don't know. I think they captured that pretty well too, where they latch on to a single character and just blow it out of the water, and it's almost like a little bit of fear mongering, sort of at the heart of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just building on random speculations because realistically, a lot of people watch the news essentially as a form of entertainment. They just want the media to just blow things up and make it more interesting than it really is.
And I think there's so many situations where that happens, the husband is guilty. So we're going off factual evidence because the detective, that's the first thing she says is like, this is a very common homicide thing. Mm-hmm. And the other police officer that's there is automatically saying he's guilty. Like he said, oh, my wife thinks she did it. Everyone thinks he does it right away. It's one of those things where like, there's so many things that show us that, oh yeah, it's definitely happens, that when we get something that's out of the ordinary, that doesn't meet everything up, it doesn't line up and people can't handle that. But I think that's the great part is when we said, oh, she outsmarts everyone. She doesn't outsmart Tanner, she doesn't outsmart Ben Affleck, and she doesn't outsmart the detective. Yeah. The detective's on it the whole time. She said, there is something off. This is too perfectly staged.
Did we like the detective?
I loved her.
I loved her, yeah.
I loved her.
She was great. I mean, obviously she's not going to outsmart her husband in that situation. He obviously knows he didn't kill her. And the defense attorney is going to take his side regardless, whether he believes it or not. I mean, who really cares in that situation? But
especially when he's getting $100,000.
Yeah, he's gonna say he believes it regardless of whether he actually does. But yeah, I mean, I think that detective was great. She caught on to all the like little nuances,
little things. He wants to say little things.
She did. She caught on to the little things. She paid attention to him. Like, especially, kind of thinking about. I thought about this afterwards. Obviously this whole plot to frame her husband for murdering her was like super planned out over the course of a few months or several months. I don't really know how long it was exactly, but once she kind of went off the rails and got her money stolen and had to like improvise, that whole like framing Neil Patrick Harris's character. I don't know the character's name.
It doesn't matter. He's just Neil Patrick Harris.
Desi?
He's always, yeah.
Or Barney Stinson, framing him for raping her and then killing him. That was like so much less thought out. Like the thing to me that was like, you're obviously trying to fake this was when she was in the hospital afterwards and the like FBI and that detective were interviewing her. And she goes, there was cameras everywhere. Go look at the cameras. Please go look at the cameras. She like made a point to say you need to go look at this evidence that I like set up, basically. To me, that was so staged. Like, if you just mentioned that there were cameras, any FBI agent would be like, oh, let's go look at the cameras.
Yeah.
Well, you'd assume that she comes back after all this. The FBI would do their job properly.
Right.
They would find the Desi guy that she said she killed, whose dead body is laying in this lake house. You can't just leave a dead body with its throat cut open.
And show up covered in blood without them going and looking there. Like,
yes. And, like, that happens. The detective's asking all the right questions. Mm-hmm. And she's also the only woman in there.
Yeah.
Which I love that.
I did notice that, too. That was...
Where, especially at this time, this is right around when... politically, everything's changing. This is before Me Too, but that stuff's starting to happen.
The tide is starting to move that direction.
Yeah. So, as men, they were all scared to bring up any questions or comments or concerns, which, in that situation, I don't know if I can say I'd do anything differently, but there's a lot of logical things that go wrong where if she's tied up, how'd she get a box cutter?
Right.
And all those questions that everyone else was asking who knows what really happened.
Which is the same thing that Ben Affleck's character asked. And that other cop was like, can't you just be happy your wife is home?
That guy's in Almost Famous, which he's a little kid in Almost Famous. So I don't know if you watched it. And someone brought it up to me. Like, I saw something about it and they made a joke about it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't unsee that. So now I just want him to write articles about a band every time I see it.
Dude's a total dweeb in this movie.
He was a total dweeb at Almost Famous too, so it works out perfectly. But yeah, now that was, didn't realize it the first time we watched it, and I don't nitpick movies very often until like we're doing things and I'm rewatching it for the fourth time through. And rewatching it where I had a nitpick, I was like, those are really good questions. Like, why? And the only thing that works in her favor is they said she's doped up on painkillers. So anything she said that doesn't make logical sense, she gets the blame on the painkillers.
That's true.
And I was like, that's great. She's like, I'll give her that. She's very smart at handling people in her class. The moment that she went to real world people and they all said F you and they just took advantage of her, and the girl legit says it steals all of her money. Hey, you've never been hit before. We're just going to bully you.
That was a great scene. She called her out on everything right there.
Totally saw through it all.
Yeah, she throws the money under the mattress. Like, that's like, you're 5.
Yeah,
no one.
It's the first place someone's going to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the thing. She was so calculated until she realized that she had to actually deal with people that had to struggle their whole life and hide things like that. That you're not going to outsmart those people when it comes to those situations when you've never had to do that. You've had
Street smart, book smart.
Yeah, she's had a silver spoon her whole life. Like, she has a trust fund with over $1 million in it. She's never had to work a day in her life.
Well, it's like $200K now, right? They took it. They took it.
I don't know, but they have a shit ton of money still when she spent like $130,000 in credit card debt, and they're perfectly fine.
Yep.
Also, but okay, let's get into the categories because that's one of my nitpicks at the end.
Yeah, we've already taken up a lot of time here.
Yeah, we spent 35 minutes talking about just what we thought about the movie and the plot holes. So let's get into it. We're just gonna summarize this movie, even though we've already summarized it like 7 times. Mm-hmm. Ben Affleck owns a bar with his sister. Gets a call from his neighbor that his cat's outside, so he goes home, finds a broken glass table, calls the cops. They start combing it from a crime scene. It's him and his wife's anniversary. They go on a scavenger hunt every year for your anniversary. If I ever get a significant other that makes me do a scavenger hunt on our anniversary, just know I'm not going to get any of the clues right. I apologize now.
Also, isn't that a massive red flag at this point?
Oh, yeah. No. If they do a scavenger hunt, I'm out.
Forget getting the clues right. Just, like, leave at that point.
Yeah, this movie puts scavenger hunts out of style.
Yeah, they have books. They have children's books written about him. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, everyone thinks that he kills his wife. We go about an hour and a half, hour 15, of all these points that make him look guilty. Then he finds this shed with a bunch of crap that he didn't buy. And all of a sudden, we find out, hey, his wife's not dead, and she's framing him and trying to get him killed because he's having an affair. Which, don't even get me started about, that's going to the most extreme, but that's the point of this movie. Then the second half of the movie is Ben Affleck's trying to make himself innocent. His wife is trying to run away, possibly kill herself. Then gets her money stolen, realizes that she is going to be dirt poor with no money, and then runs back to him.
That kills. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, fine. Stages his whole life. Stages their whole life, and then the movie ends, and she's pregnant, and he stays with her, which is just it's a messed up end of the movie. That's a really messed up end of the movie. Yeah. What were you gonna say, Tyler?
No, I was just gonna say we somehow left that out of this last 30 minutes summary too. That kill self post-it note was. I don't know. That shouldn't go unnoticed. That was intense.
Yes.
I looked at that where she was like flipping through the calendar. It's like monthly. She has a date picked where she's like, "Kill myself?" ? It's like Jesus Christ.
I didn't write any of my nitpicks or stuff down, because I know Jake and I will be on the Google Doc at the same times a lot, and I already had a bunch of questions that I wanted to ask prior, but I didn't want Jake to jump on the Google Docs to go write stuff down and read the spoilers. So I don't have anything actually written down.
Ah, smart.
I actually
but I
didn't
have
write
all of
anything
them.
down for this because I needed to take some time to process it.
Absorb it.
Yeah.
Let it flow on the Zoom.
There was a lot.
But yeah. So like, I'm realizing that we're only gonna probably hit like 3 of these categories really hard. Like the best line in the movie.
There's not
I don't
really
really-
like a best line, really. I mean,
I've
I think
answered.
Tyler Perry saying,
Yeah. Tyler Perry saying anything. Let's be real.
Tyler Perry in this
Tyler
movie-
Perry killed it. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody. I just want to say this right now. I don't know if anybody watches like the Medea shit. I don't, and I loved Tyler Perry in this. If I watched his other stuff, I probably wouldn't like him nearly as much. But I thought he nailed his character.
No, that was one of the selling points of this movie. Is like, oh, Tyler Perry's in it, and he kills it. Everyone's like, the Medea guy, and I'm like, yeah.
He did awesome.
But yeah, no, that you guys are the most fucked up people I've ever met, and I was like, yeah, no, that's very accurate to this movie. That one, and then when she's asking Ben Affleck, when the detective's asking Ben Affleck, what does his wife do? He's like, oh, she's a voracious reader. And then she's like, what's your wife's blood type? And he goes, I don't know.
That's
And he goes,
bullshit. I don't know my own blood type.
yeah, I don't
So
either.
that was that's the best line. Is the dweeby cop from Almost Famous goes, should I know my wife's blood type?
I
She
didn't
said
hear
no.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah,
I was laughing
when he-
because when he said like I don't know my wife's blood type, Lauren literally told me her blood type, and I was like, I don't know mine. And then they go, do you know your wife? Should I know my wife's blood type?
Yeah, that line I got me when the first time I watched it, and then I think I called my mom. I'm pretty sure I've called my mom like 8 times, like, hey,
To
what's my
ask her
blood
your
type?
blood type?
And I don't remember.
Does she know
It's
yours?
like, no, it's in my baby book. But like that's one of the things. Like when I remember filling out my college applications. Like I was like, hey mom, what's my social security number? I remember having to keep asking her every time I filled out college applications, like, what's
Is
my
now the
social...
moment that you tell us your social
Wait, you know it
security
now,
number?
right?
Oh, I know it now.
good.
But like,
Yeah, you
I
want to
was
tell it to us
No,
on air?
you're not gonna get far. But yeah, that was like that moment where it was like, this is the question you asked your mom 17 times before you remember it yourself. It's like I don't donate blood because I would be like, I don't know my blood type.
I mean, there
You're
aren't
just
that many
pulling-
situations where you need.
You don't have
need
to
know
wait.
your
Hold
blood
on. You
type.
don't have to know your blood type to go and donate blood.
Wait, you don't?
No, they'll tell you what your they test it. No, you don't need to know your blood type to donate it.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know that.
You only need to know when you receive it,
Donate blood,
which
kids.
you're not going to be conscious to tell them anyway. So
That's true. Yeah, I'm also terrified of needles. It's another real reason I haven't gone and donated blood.
Fair.
Yeah, but that one is it. Also, it's not really. It's the best line because it's the top of the what the fuck moment. Is when Amy's in the car and she's like, "I'm so much happier now that I'm dead," and I was just like, first time I watched it, even now, I was like, "Oh my god, this is great." So yeah, we had all the best lines. Let's go into the real moments, the emotional moments that bring us back into the movie. This is going to be more of like our emotional feelings rather than like, oh, heartfelt sad one. The whole what the hell factor.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's
just her
obviously
being
climax.
her
That's
being
the
cr-
moment.
Yeah, her being crazy is just, and like just realizing the whole time she's on screen and you're like, you are fucking insane, lady, is the best part of this movie.
Which is also why I think that's also why I think the casting of Rosamund Pike is so great, because she is kind of like creepy in just her nature.
Well,
but
the best thing is like she hadn't really been in anything before this movie.
Oh,
And
really?
then she really hasn't done anything after this movie.
really,
She's
I feel like I see her in things, but maybe it
You
just
also-
left that much of an impression.
Yeah, she was in Jack Reacher apparently like the year before this with Tom Cruise. Shout out Tom Cruise. You wouldn't be better in this
God
movie.
damn it,
but
Mason.
shout out Tom. Shout out Tom Cruise.
Yeah, who's Mason in this? Ben Affleck?
Oh, we haven't got there yet.
Oh, he's got it planned out.
Oh,
all right.
I don't
The
write it in
amazing
the
Tyler
script,
Perry?
but you missed it. Last week I wanted to be. I'm pretty sure I said I want to be Ryan Gosling, but I'm more probably like Robbie the kid from Crazy Stupid
No,
Love.
you said you were like Emma Stone's friend Liz.
Oh, that's right. Her friend Liz, who just told her that she needed to study the roof of his apartment or something else inappropriate.
You said a really weird sentence like, I feel a bit of Mason inside of Liz or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. That, and then I also said Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, of course you did. That really fits.
That checks out.
And that's
Yeah.
actually,
that definitely checks
I did mention you and said like, oh, I wish Tyler was here because this is for him. Was what person Mason sees himself in
Yeah,
this movie?
nope, that one is spot on. Good job.
Yeah, no. That moment, everything Rosamund Pike, her being batshit crazy. The moment Emily
Ratajkowski.
comes on screen. One, Blurred Lines just came out right before this, and 19-year-old us is like all for it.
Was she in Blurred Lines, the Robin Thicke thing?
Yeah, she is like the Blurred Line girl.
Wait, who is she?
Emily Ratajkowski, like
she's a Victoria's
shot
Secret
onto the
model.
scene, man.
Yeah,
Oh, is she the
this
teenager that he was sleeping with?
Yes.
Okay.
So she became pop. She's a Victoria's Secret model who became popular in the Blurred Lines video, and then
I did not realize that.
right after that, she was in Gone Girl and Entourage movie. They just kind of threw her in movies like, let's see if you can act, and then they realized
She was in Entourage. Nice. That's a good break.
and then she realizes she can't act because she's not very good in this movie. If there's one problem I have, it's her. I don't believe anything in this.
She wasn't great. She wasn't the worst, but also like considering what she was given. I mean,
her role was pretty small in the movie.
well, and half her role was just like
I didn't even buy
fake
her as
bang
being.
and Ben. So
Yeah.
I don't buy her as being a 20-year-old. That's half the thing. We were 20.
I think she was 21.
Was she really?
Yeah, dude,
She looks so much older than
Mason,
us.
this movie came out in 2014, so like what?
Yeah.
Let's figure it filmed in 2012, 2013. Dude,
Yeah.
I think she's 29 today. Like, let me confirm. I'll confirm this right now.
She was born June
She's
1991.
91.
Oh my god.
Yes.
She was 24.
Yeah,
Okay.
hence
Well,
the reason that she's a like massive model. At that
Yeah,
age.
no. Ignore everything I just said. But yeah, no. Go Margot, his sister, when she leaves the first time and she says, "You fucking idiot." I was thinking the same thing watching this the whole time. Like, I forgot about that plot point of that he cheats on her, or he's cheating on her. I kind of forgot about that. And I was like, oh my god, you idiot. Everyone's going to think you did it. And then his sister saying the exact same thing. I was like, okay. Like, that moment was really good.
Well, I mean, his wife trying to frame him knew that when she decided to try and frame him. So, I mean, she had this, what the public would perceive as evidence for him doing this. So,
Which is very true.
Yeah.
Like, that's a
Absolutely.
reason. And having not seen it since 2014 when it came out, I forgot about that's the reason she's framing him.
right.
That he cheats on her. So, like, rewatching it, I was like, oh my god, you idiot.
I forgot that. Too.
Yeah.
So, that part was crazy.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
then,
that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. But Lauren kind of brought this up right after we finished it. Obviously, this woman has made a habit out of framing men for
True.
doing terrible things to her. And it seems to have always been times when they like kind of pull away from her. So like when he went and met that guy that she framed for raping her, he went and met him in the bar. He said that I can't remember exactly word for word what he said, but it was something along the lines of like, you know, we were going out and something weird happened, so he decided to give her some space. And then next thing he knew, she was claiming that he raped her and had all this evidence that was consistent with rape. And he had no idea where the hell it all came from. So for some reason, this woman is just, whenever people pull away from her, she just like freaks out and just like, you know, decides they need to be punished.
It's a possessiveness.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I also think it was part of the reason, like, her life because she said the beginning of the journal's real. So I'm assuming
Right, the happy
her life
part was real.
So her life is amazing. Amy, she had no control. So anytime anyone pulled away from her, she felt like she was just being used for some ploy again. So that's the reason that she's so crazy.
Maybe, yeah. It goes back to childhood of her parents
Yeah,
basically using
that's a
her
good
for
point.
story material.
That would make sense that they would tie that in.
Yeah, because I mean,
to
it
the larger
seemed like
story.
it started when they moved to Missouri to take care of his mom who was dying. So like he got laid off in 2008, or around that time when the whole world was getting laid off, basically. And then his mom got sick with cancer, so he had a lot of things going on and was probably not very attentive to her, which obviously isn't good. But I mean, you could kind of see where he's coming from. Mm-hmm. And she was not a fan of that.
And we see, like, I know this is a bad scene to like use that as an example, but when he slams her against the wall and she says, "I'm the see you next Tuesday that you married," and she's, instead of being horrified in that situation, she's still in control, and that was really weird to see.
Oh, at the very end.
Oh, you're saying at the end when against
Yeah.
not at the staircase, but against the wall.
So how miserable she was making him, and like telling him he's not doing anything, and like maybe the bar is something him and his sister wanted to do, and they've always wanted to do, and yeah, she gave him the capital, but the fact that she probably shit on the bar the whole time and said it was stupid, like, yes, you live in Missouri. That house is flipping awesome. Like they were talking about getting hit by the recession. You guys are perfectly fine. That house is incredible.
Was that like his mom's house, or
no? That was their house that they bought.
Well, it said they were rented. They said they were renting it.
Did they?
Or leasing it, maybe.
I thought that was their house, but I guess I kind of just.
I think when they were talking
don't
about
know,
all the
though.
financial records and the credit card debt and all that, they said that it's being rented, and it's being rented in her name. I don't think they owned that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know who did. I thought that was the same house that they pulled up to when they moved in that like flashback where they moved to Missouri. Mm-hmm. I thought that was the same house they pulled up to see the mom and the sister standing outside. I could be wrong about that, but
maybe I don't know. It was just a really nice house, and I was like,
it was a nice house.
You guys are okay, especially going from New York to Missouri. I'm gonna assume Missouri's cheaper than New York City. So your $200,000
Probably a safe assumption.
Yeah,
Getting a little bit more square footage.
Yeah, your $200,000 that you have in your savings account in New York will probably be gone in a year and a half. I guarantee you, in Missouri, that'll last about 3 years.
That'll buy you a mansion.
You're probably okay. But yeah, no, that was one of my main things. Is I feel like she's the way she is because her life has been used against her.
Yeah.
Like she never got a choice. So this was her way of gaining control without with being in control in the most fucked up way possible.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would agree.
I mean, it is probably the most dramatic way that you could possibly achieve that, but
All right, let's go into the golden tickets. Are we already in? Yeah, golden tickets. Best part of the movie, it brings you back. The score. We don't do this much, but the score and Fincher's camera work in this movie of setting up scenes and how he's framing them is flipping unreal. The horns and like just the I don't know, it's not horns, but the violin strings when like it's like someone's just dragging something like down the violin, the loud noise of realizing, oh my gosh, she's framing him. That scene hits me every time. The weird happy joy but terrifying theme that Amy gets anytime it's just her. She has like this weird happy but terrifying theme the whole time.
so creepy.
It's so creepy, but like it's uplifting at the same time. It's really uncomfortable. And the noises and the camera work of when she slices Desi's neck and how it's like flashing and it's like and all that horrible things. And then when she shows up covered in blood on the front porch, and then that score is there where it's supposed to be this happy, like, oh my God, she's alive moment. But the music, like, is very light, but isn't light at the same time and holds a lot of weight where you're like, this lady's crazy. And literally Ben Affleck says, you fucking bitch. And then she like faints, and then like, the score.
It was such a cheesy faint too. It was like a faint,
yeah.
but then I catch you in my arms, and it's like we're on the dance floor.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was just. I don't do that often, but the score of this movie is just unreal. It's
So-
the thing I noticed more often every time I watched it. I was like, this.
It's interesting that you bring up the Desi scene and the way that it was cutting when he was literally bleeding out of his neck. Typically, for those that don't know, I'm the one that really becomes infatuated with the score, with the camera work. I actually didn't love that scene all that much. I found it to be kind of cheesy in my opinion. It like faded to black, faded back in, faded to black, faded back in, and I don't know. I don't know if it's a David Fincher style I'm gotta see more of. I don't know if it's maybe just a specific movie. Before we started recording, I was telling Mason I haven't seen Fight Club. I haven't seen Mank. There's a few, like Mank being obviously more recent, but there's a lot of David Fincher movies I haven't seen. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the score. I would agree was phenomenal, but some of the like cinematography, yeah, I don't know. It was no Roger Deakins.
We'll go to the scene we talked about when Andy shows up, and everything's in the dark, and it's at night, and it's supposed to be like, you idiot, like you don't see it in the lighting, and how it pans from them on the couch. And they show the kitchen, and they show Margot's room open in the back, but it's just a slow pan.
I didn't.
They show a slow pan of everything, but right where Margot's standing, you don't see her.
Yeah.
And the second time watching it, knowing that she's gonna be there, or the third time watching it, when I just watched it last night for this, I was like, can you see her in the background? And they perfectly set it up where you can't see her, and you get this sense of relief. And then she says, you fucking idiot. And instead of panning right to her to say something, it stays on Ben Affleck, and you see him just drop like, oh my God, I messed up.
Yeah, I didn't notice that her room was open.
Me neither.
But I was fully expecting her to be like in the background. So I was looking for her, and I never could see her. And then
That's like,
obviously she was like, was she like hidden behind a pillar or something? Like,
yeah, it was,
so
it was
like
the wall, like it was a wall that had a door entry in it, kind of.
Okay.
yeah, it was like where they have the counter, and then they have probably
It
where
separated
a cabinet
the room,
is.
basically.
Yeah,
Right.
The
It just-
room.
So it's just
the
like a
kitchen
tiny
from the
little chunk of
hallway.
wall, basically.
Yes.
yeah. It was like someone blew out the other wall, and was
Okay.
like, we have to keep this for support reasons. I noticed that stuff when I watch it. It's never something that really I'm ever like, I need to focus on. But like, if it's done really well, I will point.
You should
it out
watch
and be
Good Time. That movie does it really well.
Good.
God.
I would gonna say Good Time is a beautiful looking movie, and I will give it that.
But it's not a good time.
I don't know.
Yeah, Mason's coming around, dude.
No,
didn't
Mason, no.
Mason's like getting a little okay, picture
Oh,
this.
no.
Basically, when we first watched Good Time, it was
I
like
didn't hate
Mason,
Good Time.
Mason had only like dipped his toe into the pool, but now at this point, what are we 30 episodes in,
eight
Mason,
months later?
that you've done? It's like you're swimming in the fucking deep end, man. You're like, Good Time, hell yeah. Rob Pat with a little weirdness, yeah. Let's get.
I didn't hate Good Time. It's just not a movie
You
I
just
would have
didn't
gone
have
out of my
anything
way
good
to
to say about it.
Yeah.
No, I gave it a decent review. Like, no one's gonna.
No, you did not.
Hold on.
My letterbox, I gave it a 3 out of 5. If you want to go.
That's not the worst. Okay. fair
No,
enough.
I was in the middle.
Don't
I
worry,
remember-
audience. I'm going to confirm this live for us.
We will definitely redo that, because that was one of our first ones, and I feel like there's a lot of talk like this one, but like that one, it had a lot of overhead shots. I don't know what we're bringing up.
All right, yeah,
but we're
forget
just
about
doing
Good Time. Move
Yeah,
on.
get off this.
Go back to Good Time.
But no, Fincher does a great work. I think Social Network is the other one that comes right to mind. His score on Social Network, or the guy who does the score on Social Network, I don't know if it's the same person, but Social Network score is unbelievable. But I took Desi, the cutting in and out, it's Desi trying to keep consciousness. And then the moment
that's how I took it
just
too.
focused, it went from her looking down, and you never see her. It
is the same composer, by the way.
Okay, well, that guy's great. I don't know who it is, but you're really good.
Trent Reznor.
But the flashing it's all from Desi's point of view. You never see Rosamund Pike's face in that whole scene until it's steady, and that's when Desi's dead, and then it goes from being in a position of power from her and like you're being strangled to it's now straight looking at her, and you don't really see Neil Patrick Harris's body. And I feel like little things like that, that's a really cool way to do it. I know Kevin Spacey sucks, but House of Cards, he's made House of Cards, and a lot of the scenes you can tell he had a say in how it looks, and it's beautifully shot too, where you're just like, okay, this is made with a lot of time and effort. But yeah, that's like just little things like that where it's not necessary, but it's really good. And where like going through the house is another scene where like they linger on things that you're supposed to notice, but it's like we're lingering on it because he's trying to give us hints that you should probably notice that this is too easy to be spotted, kind of thing. So I really like that.
Yeah, I think that transitions nicely into my golden ticket, so I'll go ahead and throw it in here real quick. So I can't say I normally pay too much attention to like cinematography or camera angles too much. I mean, if it's super obvious that that's like the point of the scene, I'll notice it, but it's certainly not what I'm looking for. Score sometimes. I do think the score was great in this movie. The music was perfectly creepy, but also portrayed other moods throughout, depending on whatever the scene was. But my golden ticket in general was, so I should maybe backtrack a tiny bit. Mason, you told me maybe a week or two ago that this movie was directed by David Fincher, and I'm not much of a movie buff. I don't really know any directors of movies or even many actors and actresses' names in movies. I really don't pay too close of attention to all that, but I have noticed a style of David Fincher in Social Network and Mank that we talked about a bit in the Mank episode, and especially regarding his dialogue. And I really caught on to that quickly in this movie in the beginning, how like kind of fast-paced, but at the same time not like too fast-paced where it's hard to keep up with sometimes. Gilmore Girls sometimes gets a little hard to keep up with because it's like so fast. It's like the perfect pace where it's fast, but I don't know if it's like pauses are perfect or I don't know what it is exactly, but it's like easy to keep up with even though it's fast.
So, specifically, Social Network is also written by Aaron Sorkin, who will do Moneyball.
So it's the same writer in Social Network?
No.
Oh, Social Network and he does a lot of really fast-paced writing.
Yeah.
David Fincher is just such a perfectionist that every scene takes like 30 takes to do. He's never like one take and it's good. He wants the best at everything he does all the time. So that's why his dialogue's so quick, because he wants it to be a normal conversation where he doesn't want it thought out, where people are thinking lines. And it's not something you ever think about in a movie, but the dialogue in movies a lot of times is slowed down, where I think what you did, Gilmore Girls is such at the extreme, where they are talking so fast, which I do think people talk like that, but it's not everyone. Where this is a more natural dialogue, where you feel like you're in the scene with the people and actually just hearing a conversation rather than them acting. It feels more real. And I know that's what he really goes for, and that's what he like really beats everyone, like beats into the ground, like we gotta do this again. It needs to be more natural. It needs to be this. It needs to be that. He's such a perfectionist. And apparently he won't go rewatch his movies because he can just tell you everything he would have done differently in every scene because he doesn't think it's a finished product.
That's a very Stanley Kubrick-esque
Oh, very much so.
style. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's his dialogue. He likes it quick, but he likes it. It's a more natural flowing pace, and that's what he's also a very thought provoking director, and you like thought provoking things.
Yeah.
So that's why I knew you would like this movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't really think about that. Maybe it's that most movies slow things down. Maybe it's a byproduct of the fact that people are acting and it's not actually happening. I don't know. That's an interesting point.
I think because they want you to hear everything, where he necessarily does, but he wants you to be involved in the scene enough where, like, hold up. Fight Club's a good example where he'll give you clues throughout the whole movie. Like, I know we haven't watched Fight Club, so I won't give you more. But he literally he lays out what's happening in Fight Club before, and he does a lot with this movie. He's laying it out like, hey, this is the entire movie. I'm giving you all these hints. And people start saying them, but you don't ever notice them because you're just so entranced in the movie, which what makes his movie so great to watch the second and third time through is that you go and start picking up on those things because you missed it the first time. But you're listening to other things where, like, I know I'm not a huge Christopher Nolan fan, but one thing his movies do is on the rewatch, they're so much better because you don't have to think about what's coming on. Like, I talking to Lauren about what we should do next, and she's like, do Inception. I haven't seen Inception since it came out in the theaters. I didn't like it when it came out.
Have you seen it one time?
I've seen it one time.
Holy
and
shit.
I remember just not liking it. And it's kind of the same
You've
thing
seen
there.
Inception one time in your life.
One time. And I just remember not liking it. It also came out weird.
And guess what? The top
2010.
hasn't stopped spinning since you watched it.
Yeah, and like just that thing. I bet you if I went and rewatched it now, it's probably very. It's a.
Let's
Probably
keep in
very
mind,
well done movie.
Mason's. It's your pride with your statement around I don't like Christopher Nolan that's holding you back from watching Inception.
No,
again.
because I went back and rewatched Dunkirk, and my biggest problem with Dunkirk was how he set up the whole movie. I was like, this is ridiculous. I hate how you're setting this up. Like, it's dumb. I went back and rewatched it, and I was like, okay, this is just a good movie. I can look past this giant framing device of how he sets up everything to realize, you know what, this is just good.
Also, shout out to the fact you just used device in a movie podcast. You've officially
Framing device, nonetheless.
You've officially reached cinephile. You are the cinephile. You've taken the title from me.
I've
always
said framing device.
Framing device. You were the man.
Yo, this shit is not even professionally unprofessional anymore.
I am no longer the pretentious.
We need to
movie guy.
rebrand
It
here.
is Mason.
I take full responsibility in knowing I can be very, this is a film. I don't like to feel like that because I don't feel like I know enough, but at the same time I do just watch.
Oh, like
and
the other
read.
fucking hundreds of people that act like they do. I mean, they don't know it too. You just got to blend in. You're rocking it, man. Framing device. I love it.
You talked about how you notice Fincher's like dialogue. If we did 1917, I guarantee you the whole cinematography of 1917, now that we're watching this and we're pointing this out, that's the one thing that stuck out to me when I watched that movie. It's like, I feel like this movie's a little overrated.
But that's an extreme, right? I mean, that's
that's fair.
That's like the
I'm
most.
just screwing around with you, but you're right.
No, it's just, I picked this movie, one, because it was the opposite of everything that we just did with Crazy Stupid Love. And two, I just really wanted to talk about a good movie and just be like, let's just nerd out about how good this movie is and about the writing's great, the acting's great, the directing's great, the score. There's nothing bad about this movie besides maybe Emily Ratajkowski or however you say her name's acting. And it's not even because she's a bad actress. It's just she has nothing to do. She's there to take off her top and look attractive. And that sucks for her because she might be able to do more with this role. I don't know. But, that's what she's there for. So.
I don't have anything to say about that, but I do have one more point to throw in about David Fincher before we move on from that.
Go for it.
So, one thing I really... And I don't know... I think I've only seen now 3 movies of David Fincher. Maybe a few others that I just never paid attention to who the director was.
I didn't realize Zodiac was him too. That's a
He's done a lot. He's done a lot.
So the three that I'm referring to here are Gone Girl and Mank and Social Network. He likes to switch back and forth between what's happening now and flashbacks.
Yes.
And I don't know if all of his movies are like that, but the three that I have seen certainly are. And I love that way of telling a story. I think it's easy to screw that up because it's easy to just like bounce back and forth in a way that doesn't really connect the dots meaningfully, or maybe it's hard to follow. But he bounces back and forth so perfectly that it tells the story like, I don't know how to put it necessarily, but it just does such a good job at giving like almost what's happening now and then why this is happening now based on a flashback, and then what's happening next and then why that happened based on a flashback.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting way to tell a story, and he does it so well, all three of those movies at least.
Yeah. He also loves to pick up on the fucked up side of things. He says everyone's fucked up in some way. And that's like a direct quote from him. But take out Mank, because Mank's an outlier. Every other movie is the dark side of what could happen. This is the dark side of what happens if a marriage goes wrong. And you actually end up marrying someone who's just crazy. This is the worst case scenario of what's going on.
What about Social
Fight
Network?
Club? What?
The worst? It definitely paints it in a way of like, look what greed and selfishness can lead to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy wants to fit in. This is what happens when you try to force your way into a situation.
I mean, like,
when you try to be cool and you try to force yourself way in a situation, you literally have your best friend hate you because you kick him out of a company.
Yeah, Zuck is no saint in that movie.
Yeah,
I don't even
real.
feel like that's an extreme, though. I feel like you hear stories like that all the time.
You do, but
maybe not the extreme, but it's like down toward that side of things.
Yeah,
it's certainly more villain than it is hero.
Yeah, that's true. It's not not teamwork. It's certainly not highlighted in that one.
Right.
Girl and the Dragon Tattoo is a movie I've only seen once, and I remember watching it and being like, this whole movie is horribly messed up.
I haven't
But it's
seen that
about it's horrible. Like, not horrible like it's a bad movie. It's just horribly messed up. It's about rape and all this stuff and a girl getting revenge. But yeah, no. And it's like, it's a book, and if there's one person to...
He seems to adapt a lot of books, huh?
Yeah. If there's one person to bring a fucked up book like that, it's David Fincher. So, like, we did little things. And I said, feel like this is... Yeah. I feel like this is something David Fincher would do. Seven is the Little Things version, David Fincher's version of Little Things. So,
I gotta go watch that then.
Seven?
Seven.
Yeah, it's with Brad Pitt. He's a big Brad Pitt fan. You'll find that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know what we're doing next week. We'll just do Seven. I figured it out. We're doing a Fincher week.
And it's on HBO. There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk more about Seven next week. But yeah, no, it's just he likes dark things. He likes going to the messed up part of everyone's life. And that's messed up dialogue. He's a perfectionist, and that's why his movies are great. And apparently his best movie is Zodiac. I've heard that from multiple sources now, is everyone loves Zodiac, and it's about the Zodiac killer.
Movie. You haven't seen it?
I have not watched it yet. And I heard it's like right before Robert Downey Jr. became Iron Man. And Jake Gyllenhaal talks about how he just wrecked him because he was like, you need to be in this horribly dark place with me for months on end doing this movie. And he's like, I can't. And it was so grueling of how many takes he had to do, it just wrecked him. But that's what he does. Like, he picks, like I told you, Social Network, he did the opening scene in Social Network apparently 100 times. I was like, you guys, it took you 7 minutes to get through this. I need you to get through this in 5. And they just kept doing it over and over again.
I feel like that's my spirit animal, man. That's what I'd want to be as a director. I want to scream at people and tell them, you have to do this scene 100 times in a row. Perfect. We're not fucking leaving until this is done.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the only time in any film, movie situation that I've noticed something that I really like about a specific actor, director, producer, whatever position it may be. I'm gonna say it. David Fincher is gonna be written as my favorite director for now. At least.
We'll see if Letterboxd says that.
What?
It's a good. We'll
yeah,
see if
Letterboxd will show you who your top directors are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, but no, he's not shabby whatsoever. I think that his only bad movie he ever did was
say that.
Yeah,
well, Tyler seemed to disagree before.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to watch more stuff.
I can see why
Seven
Tyler
next week. I'm all on board for 7 next week. Yes.
All right.
Sold.
Well, we're going in. We're becoming cinephiles.
Oh, no.
Want some cheese? Cheesiest line in the movie.
Is there one?
I guess the fall when she comes back.
You fucking bitch.
You fucking bitch, and then she pretends faints.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much cheese in this one. Yeah. Move on. Next category.
If we're gonna be stupid, let's be smart about it. These are just questions we have. If there's any nitpicks you guys gotta bring up about the movie, you can bring them up. I don't have a whole lot, but I do have one.
There's some big ones in here, though.
Do you buy that Ben Affleck stayed?
Nope, no chance. I'm out.
I feel like that too.
I think she has a really. I think this is why I also tuned out for the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie. I think her argument is pretty weak, honestly. Like
the country will hate him?
It's like kind of a weak. Does he care about what people think of him? Yes, but like it's weak.
See, I didn't take that as her main point. What I took as her main point is...
Well, her main point's like, hey, I have a kid.
No.
Him.
It was this craziness is what you fell in love with. This is what you actually want. And I think he actually does.
I saw it more as like a guilt trip as to what he was getting tied to.
No, I don't think that would get him to stick around.
Though,
I think he's weirdly into it.
The only reason you like yourself is when you're trying to get this see you next Tuesday to love you.
Yeah, that to me was the main point that he was like, you got me there. I'm in it. Yeah, because weirdly I'm into this.
Yeah,
you're right. And they're painting that up the whole movie too. Like,
yeah, they were
banging it out behind the library books and
how much joy he got from fucking with her on TV. I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
She loved the game too.
He's almost as crazy as she is, so he can't.
Yeah,
he can't,
it was a weird.
Use that as ammunition to say this is it. Like when their relationship moved away from that crazy stuff is when he said he wanted to leave.
Yeah, when life went normal, they were good. Their life's never going to be normal again. This movie is literally what happens if Kate plus 8 disappeared. And John had all the kids, and then all of a sudden, and they're like, "Oh, he murdered her," and then they just showed back up. That's literally what I took of this movie.
Kate plus 8? What?
Yeah,
that's TLC. What the hell?
John and Kate plus 8.
No, I got you.
I understand the reference. I don't understand how that's the same thing.
I just hear hear John and Kate plus 8, and I nod. I go, yeah.
What happens if she went missing and everyone framed him for murder? And then she randomly just showed back up and was like, "Oh no, he didn't murder me. I was kidnapped by someone else." Like they had a crazy relationship, and I totally buy it.
Did they? I never watched that show. I just.
Their relationship was messed up. I totally buy that he's staying. Like, it's horrible, and there's no logic to it. But people have a lot less logical things to do with their life. You know,
sometimes
you don't like smiling from the poster. There's no logic to that. But I believe it. The dude's just giving you enough ammunition throughout the whole thing. And then Tyler Perry even says it. Like, hey, you might want to thank her. She's made you guys millionaires. You can franchise the bar. You have movie rights, book rights. There's so much money you just made off this situation.
True. She
can write an autobiography and literally just hand it in the journal that she bullshit.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So that was it. Do we think the FBI would have given up as fast as they did?
No chance. That's over dramatization.
Probably not, no. But I think what you were saying before definitely plays into that it was all male investigators asking her questions right around the time of, really when this kind of social change was starting to gain some footing. I'm sure that played into it.
Yeah, I agree.
The whole journal thing I brought up, did you guys notice that? Is that everything she wrote about how she's terrified of her husband and like all the fear that she felt is now Ben Affleck in the whole situation. He's now terrified of her and everything.
No, I didn't really.
I feel like I was
parallel.
dumb. I like to try and pride myself on being smart in a lot of movies. You guys have both called out some key points, and I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. I'm off my game. I need to go get back into the bullpen and warm up. I'm not ready for these movies.
Well, you've been on DL for like a month, so it's all good.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we'll call it.
I totally noticed that he was like terrified, but I didn't like draw the parallel.
I didn't.
Yeah, she like curled up with the blanket up to her chin, and then like he tells her in the dream, "Oh, you can sleep in bed." All this stuff.
Yeah.
And then she does the same thing to him at the end. He like curls himself up and like is terrified of her. I can't say I blame you because you'd probably slit your throat in your sleep.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know how he ever slept. Like, he would probably just be thinking that he would never wake up.
Jake, you wrote the last one down. Do you want to read it or you want me to go for it?
Yeah, let me see here. Okay, yeah, so she shows this pregnancy test at the end that she's pregnant. And I'm curious if you guys think, was she actually pregnant or not?
Yes, she
absolutely
was. So I missed this. Alyssa noticed it. She took. So there's a comment about the test, and like they went to the test together, and they were basically testing his like fertility, and he threw that like he tested and like he did stuff. But she never completed the test, I guess. But what happened is that she most likely took his like disposed test and the semen and used it and got pregnant as a result.
Yeah, because she didn't dispose of it. She kept it
Yes.
So you
as
think
ammunition.
Would that
kept
work?
his-
Like freezing his semen and keeping it for?
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can
that
keep
was
it-
a couple of years, right?
You can keep it frozen, I think, for a long time.
Right, but
I don't
is that
think there's
just like frozen as in your freezer, or is it have to be?
No,
like,
it's at a fertility
Oh,
clinic.
so
also wanna
you
call
think
out-
you think she went to the fertility clinic and had them store it for her?
So
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so this is another. I'm getting live messages from the other room, and
Thanks, Alyssa.
I'm getting notes saying, yes, that is what happened in the book. She kept his sample. So again,
Okay,
full
so-
disclosure, we didn't read the book, so just let's get that out there.
So
But
I
yeah,
so I
there we
was
go,
wondering.
confirmed.
I was thinking it was between one of two things. Either I actually didn't think about the possibility that she had them store his semen from that test and use that. Lauren and I were thinking maybe one of two things. Either she like somehow got his semen. I mean, he said he never touched her, so maybe that would have had to be from before she framed him for murder. So I don't know how that would have worked, but taking his semen that way, and just keeping it herself and doing whatever had to happen with that, or I was thinking maybe because clearly she borrowed that other pregnant neighbor's urine to show up as a positive pregnancy test. Maybe she wasn't pregnant at all. She just borrowed some pregnant woman's urine to get a positive pregnancy test.
No, this one's legit.
So
You think she was pregnant and she actually used his semen to do
No,
it?
this one's legit.
Because it's only been a year since we did that thing. Because Ben Affleck says a year ago she would have got pregnant. It would have been the best thing that ever happened to me.
Was it a year that they had the fertility test?
Yes, that's about a year.
Okay.
She's gone for a month. She comes back, and at the end of it, when
Was it a
that
month?
scene,
I thought it was like a week.
no, it was a month.
About a month.
Because she dyed her
30
hair
days
blonde
gone.
again, and she lost all the
I
weight
didn't
that she
even
just
notice
gained.
it was 30
30
days.
days.
Gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
5 weeks is when she becomes pregnant and stuff. You can assume that she lost the baby from the stupid pregnant lady, which how did I forget that line? That's one of the best lines of the movie. Befriend idiot pregnant lady. I laughed so hard when I heard that. I was like, wow, fucked up.
Well, she said she lost the baby, but I mean, from her journal that she wasn't actually pregnant.
We know that, but she still could have gone to the IVF clinic where Ben Affleck's sample was, and they could have just inserted his sample into her.
Okay, I didn't realize she would have the ability to have them save that for him. I thought...
Yeah, no, that's why the letter said, we need to use your sample. If you don't, we can come and dispose of it. They had to come to dispose of it. If they didn't show up, they didn't dispose of it. She just threw the letter away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If you were in Margot's situation, would you believe your sibling didn't murder someone, even though they're looking super suspicious the whole time?
Yes, because I think the better question asked there is, would you feel capable to make an appropriate sort of determination? That's not the right word, but I think Margot was in a position to make the right call because she is so close to him. She's spent her whole life growing up with him. I think it's one of those things. I pray to God that I'm correct in this thinking, that it's one of those things that you know if someone's capable of murder or not. And I think Margot knows that this person is not capable of murder.
I agree. That being said,
if Lauren...
I am also incredibly close with my sister.
Lauren, now turn the podcast on.
Well, I mean, Margot and
just
him,
click stop because this is...
That's what I'm saying. So let's say
he and Margot were clearly very close.
Yeah.
Yes. And let's say someone went missing with me. Lauren's going to be in my corner the entire time, and vice versa. There's also a chance that not everyone... If Lauren didn't like someone I was dating, and they knew that was it, and then there was a crazy feature about it, there's a chance Lauren would be like, oh yeah, no, this girl's just batshit crazy and she's framing you.
No, but that's exactly the point, right?
That's the point. Margot hated her.
Yeah.
And knew she was crazy, and I feel like that has a big part to play in it.
Yeah, but I think she didn't like her. I would like to believe that fundamentally humans would be able to separate, like, this person is capable of murder and this person's not. And
but there's also a best line by the girl that steals all of Rosamund Pike's money, which is like, I just want one time for someone to jump up on camera and be like, this lady sucked. And then she's like, oh, she just seemed like a pretentious bitch that was just getting a crybaby. That was just being a crybaby.
You know what I just realized too? Sorry, this is a bit of a...
Fine.
But the more hillbilly girl, her and the detective had something in common in terms of two women that have, like, experienced shit and then realized, like, they saw through it. Like, again, it comes back to that point of, like, we saw right through it because it just wasn't playing into the anyway, you see my point.
That's going off the girl's scene.
Let's talk about cinematography again. I sound smart with that.
You're making a great point. It's going back to that scene, and what I was saying is Amy outsmarts everyone that's in her, like,
corner, kind of, yeah, or
corner class,
vulnerable,
her
like,
class.
Yeah,
when
class
you had
is a good word.
when you
Class is a
had
good
to actually when she actually had to deal with people who don't have a trust fund and actually have to work and struggle to survive. Like, that girl's been through way more shit.
Yeah,
she hasn't been through shit.
It's
she
less.
Has got,
yeah. It's wooden spoon versus silver spoon. That's what.
Yes.
Like, yeah. She can convince the silver spoon. She cannot convince the wooden spoon.
No, and they saw right through that. So that's what I believe. Margot and Ben Affleck's character had the wooden spoon. Their dad was a cheating drunk, whatever. You just know they have. I don't know in the book if they go into more detail, but they don't get along with their dad. You can just tell when the dad shows up after leaving the retirement home. Like, they don't like him. He came there for his mom. Mom's passed away. That scene, you get that feeling from the whole thing. So I believe that she sees through whatever BS that she's giving.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like, someone that you're that close with, you would, I mean, like you said, either know that they're capable of murdering someone or not, but you would know to what degree you trust them, or probably if you spent that much time around them, you would know when they're lying. And I feel like she would be able to decipher that.
And Margot knew something was up the whole time, because she kept saying, "Hey, are you telling me everything? Are you telling me everything?" Knowing that he was hiding something.
And then as soon as she saw him cheating, she was like, "Okay, I think I figured it all out at this point."
Yeah. And that's why she called him an idiot. Like, this literally makes you look guilty. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other nitpicks or questions that you have?
I don't think so.
I have one that's it's just really ridiculous, but it's really fun. As a detective, you found that shed of crap, and they have those really nice golf clubs that have never been used. Wouldn't that make you suspicious?
Well, first of all, I'm going to the driving range. Second of all, yes.
Well, I mean,
watching it.
They did say when they found that you got this shed full of stuff to like run away with once you got rid of your wife. So like, they were under the assumption that he bought all this stuff but hadn't used any of it yet and was planning on using it later.
Fair.
Which that would fit into that.
Hey, this is the point of nitpicks, Mason. We can hopefully convince you that it shouldn't be a nitpick. I think that would be the end goal of this.
Yeah, no, that's literally it. I'm going to be stupid, and we're going to make a logical answer. We're going to be smart about how we're going to get there. That's the name of the category. Could you be Tanner Bolt? Could you defend people that are accused of murdering their significant other? I do not know if I could do that job, just knowing that there's a possibility that they actually murdered them.
Better. Like, could you be a defense attorney? Yeah, no. Don't sign
I couldn't.
that one. No.
I don't know. I would be curious to know
Shout out impeachment trials.
The statistics around how often people are. I mean, that's not really something you could know, I guess. That's really what it comes down to, is how often you think someone is convicted of something like that versus how often they've actually done it.
Yeah, but doesn't even 1% make it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point.
And like, let's talk about odds. If you're representing 100 people, can bet your ass
you
that
just defended and kept someone out of prison who definitely did it.
Like, say like 85. If you do
right.
100 people and 85 people are innocent, you still are defending 15 guilty people that murdered their wife or husband.
Yeah, I mean
that's more people than I want to meet in my life that have murdered someone.
But I mean, just to play devil's advocate. That's 85 people who should not be in prison, who didn't do anything wrong, that you just kept out of prison. So
this is why I asked you guys to be a part of this podcast. When we decided this is because you just bring out the positive and everything. Let's rate the movie. Tyler, did you buy it?
Yeah. So I dropped a comment on our Google sheet. I'm very excited to share my rating here. As I alluded to at the start of the podcast, this is a movie that I'd say I walked out of the theater for the first time thinking, holy shit, this was a 5-star movie. This is as good as it gets. And over the course of the last, I guess, 7 years since the movie came out, 4 watches later, I finished the movie last night thinking, yeah, this is more of like a 3. It's on Hulu. Okay, here I am turning it on. It's streaming because it's available. I would say after hearing your guys' points about sort of these small breadcrumbs that lead to a larger picture and they just have a much more significant payoff in the movie, I'd say my score is a 4. I did not buy the movie. However, that comes with a disclaimer that the movie was on sale on Vudu 2 weeks ago. We landed on this movie. And then I went to go and buy it on Vudu, and it was no longer on sale. So when we talk about the definition of 4 stars being watch on our own time, bargain bin buy, yes, this is exactly it. I would have bought it if it was on sale, but damn it, it went off sale, so I didn't buy it.
Bargain bin buy does not mean 4 stars. It's just the second highest rating.
Okay.
Just so you know,
fair
there
enough.
is no star rating because there is multiple times that I've put
Okay,
something.
in my defense, I'm reading this and it says 5 stars, bargain bin buy, 3 stars, 2 stars, 1 star.
Well, that was for everyone else. But if
That
you
was
look at
because
any
Jordan couldn't give an
Fair.
answer
Yeah.
that didn't fit into stars.
Look,
if
this is a 4 star, and if it goes on sale next week, it's in my library. Boom.
it's
Sold.
yeah, that's fine.
All right, perfect.
And it's literally definition. I'm buying it if it's in a bargain bin. You're
Yes.
gonna go
Yes.
that you're literally because like what we did Land of the Lost. I said it's a movie I would stream with
Give
friends.
me full sticker price on that shit. I'm buying it, but
I told you I would it would be something I would stream with friends. I'm pretty sure I gave it like a 2 stars. Doesn't mean I dislike the movie. It's just not a good movie. So like that's it. I just made this rating system like, hey, this is like just because it's not
Fair
a good movie doesn't mean I won't watch it again.
that's fair.
Yeah. Jake, first time watching it, what are you gonna rate it?
You know, I think I'm in a similar boat to Tyler. I think talking about all the breadcrumbs that you find along the way has increased my view of this movie. Coming into this episode, what I was thinking was it's certainly worth watching the first time. I am happy that I streamed it where it was available, which puts it in the middle of the line, the 3-star equivalent as we have in our rating system. But I was thinking I probably wouldn't even bother watching it a second time. But after kind of talking about all this stuff, kind of knowing where it's going and knowing that twist in the middle, I guess, I think it would actually make some little pieces of the first half of the movie even more interesting than they were the first time. So I would certainly consider watching it again, maybe even buy it in a bargain bin. So maybe halfway between stream it if it's available and buy it in a bargain bin, somewhere in that range.
I think time is on the side of the movie here. And I think what I mean by that is you watched this in 2014 and you haven't watched it in 7 years. You're going to be happy you came back.
Yeah, that's fair. Because you're going to...
Yeah, that goes a little bit
You're
against...
going to remember the twist, but you're not going to remember anything leading up to that.
Yeah, and like the pregnancy details, I completely missed.
Right.
Like, I did not remember that at all. Now, could the same be said for Inception? Yeah, it probably could. So Mason should watch it again. But alas, here we are. And I think time is on the side of the movie. So I feel like this is one of those movies where it is starting to get into like, hey, I watched it, had a no shit twist. Maybe it's time to jump back into it 7, 8 years later.
Watch it once a decade.
Watch it once a decade. That's a good, yeah.
Which at $5 in the bargain bin, that gets pretty cheap per viewing when
there
you think
go.
about it
You
long
just
term.
ROI, boom, sold.
All right, there you go. Buy in a bargain bin. I'm in.
I'm gonna pull a Jordan. I'm gonna ruin the
No.
rating system.
Let me guess. You're gonna
But,
give it like pi stars.
Here you go. The first half of the movie on the first watch. Is
Wait.
Wait. You gotta let me go. You gotta let me keep going. I told you I'm pulling a Jordan. I'm fucking this
You
whole
lost
thing
me
up.
at I'm pulling a Jordan.
So the first half of the movie on the first watch is an instant classic because I will never forget the holy shit moment. That is like the first time. That is a Sixth Sense biggest twist I've ever seen in a movie theater moment where I was not expecting it. Fair enough?
I'm holding my tongue. I'm
Okay,
holding my tongue.
keep going.
Okay. The second half of the movie, the first time through, was buying a bargain bin. It's like right there.
Second half, first time through. Okay.
Buying a bargain bin. So the first half of the movie, up until we find out the reveal she's alive, first time through is an instant classic. The second half of the movie, first time watching it, is buy it in a bargain bin. Rewatching it,
Wait.
They
Hold on.
flip-flopped.
So the twist for you is when you find out she's alive?
yeah.
See,
Hey,
I was
only one
thinking
of
the
us-
twist is when she slits Barney Stinson's throat.
The whole second half of the movie.
That to me is the twist.
That's
I
what I
was
was gonna
like
say.
half expecting her to be alive the whole time.
Rewatching it, the second half of this movie is so much more compelling than the first half of this movie. I could skip to the twist watch the twist of, oh, she's alive, and I can watch that hour and 15 minutes of the movie, and I'm all for it. And I don't have to see the first hour and 15 minutes because I already know it. I already know the setup. That second hour 15 is a phenomenal movie.
Until the last 20 minutes.
Even the last 20 minutes.
All right, well,
the last 20 minutes of it. So my overall rating.
If the math major's getting confused
I'm
on this
thoroughly
equation,
confused
then
here.
I'm
Just
All right.
give us the final number, please.
It's an instant classic.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I thought you were going the other direction, and I was going to flip this
Oh, man,
table.
just to say it's an instant classic?
I
So
was
that's
gonna
what
flip
I was
this
just
table.
saying. It's. I heard about The Sixth Sense and all these crazy twisted movies. This was the first time I watched a movie and I was like, oh my god, this is the craziest twist I've ever seen. Now that doesn't mean it's The Sixth Sense crazy twist or like whatever movie you can think of that has a crazy twist. Like it's not The Empire Strikes Back twist.
I don't know.
But
This
it was-
twist might be crazier than Sixth Sense.
I don't know. You
I
think
haven't
about
seen Sixth Sense. Hey, careful.
I've only seen the ending, the twist.
There's a lot of
yeah, which is it's like the twist in Sixth Sense is great. The Darth Vader being Luke's father is a great twist, but
Darth Vader literally means something father in German, so.
I would
Now-
also I would
now that
also,
we know
I would
that
also
now.
say who the hell in our generation actually watched the movie to see that twist for the first time. I mean, come on. That is
that's
embedded
what I'm
in
saying.
culture.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
We all knew that he was
This
the
was
father
the
before
fir-
we all saw that.
This is the first time I watched
too
a
young
twist
for that
where it
twist to be
wasn't.
relevant.
That's what I'm saying. Every other twist, I've heard it before.
Yeah.
You've heard the Sixth Sense.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
I
This
would
was
I
the-
would agree with that.
This
we
is
were
the first movie I was
16
like,
watching
holy
this
shit,
movie.
this is
Yeah.
a twist I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So that's why the first half of this movie, the first time I watched it, was so embedded in my
That's
head.
a good way to put it.
Yeah. But rewatching it, it's a mystery that's not a mystery. Like,
Yep.
you're trying, and the second half of the movie of watching her struggle is so much more compelling than the first half that I'm all for it every time. So I could just come in like an hour in and be like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I know what happened. I'm good with the last 2 hours or whatever it is. So it's an instant classic. But if I had to pick what part of the movie, I'm watching the second half rather than the first half. That's what I was trying to go with, and that's why I said.
Okay.
That's why I said this is a Jordan rating, because I was just gonna mess it up and just make it way more complicated than it needed to be.
Yeah, that was very complicated.
But I didn't give you a number.
That's
I
true.
just- I broke it down in our rating system. So do I get credit for that at least? In trying.
Sure, you can get partial credit.
All right. Yeah. Remember, rate, subscribe. If you're watching on this YouTube, leave a like. If you're on Apple, please leave us a review. Let us know. Follow us on Instagram, Keepin It Reel with 4 underscores. Any other links that you want to know of us, they will be in the description of either the YouTube video and or any of the podcast stuff. So click down there. We're going to do 7 next week. And then the week after that, we're gonna do Inception, because we keep talking about those two movies. So we're just gonna we're just gonna bang off those two, because literally before
Guess
we
what?
jump,
I'm here for the next 2 episodes, so get used to it.
you're gonna be in there
He's
for
Sold.
back.
you're gonna be in there in the third one, because after that, I'll tell you when we hang up what the third movie is gonna be. But yeah, watch Inception, watch 7. Those are our next 2 movies. We'll see you next week. See you later.
Peace.
Boom.